Hey guys,
Yeah.
welcome back to the Blue Collar Future Podcast. I'm here with Landyn Jernigan.
Yeah.
That's how you say your name? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Landyn, we are in different parts of the US. Um, we were just talking about before we recorded, it's raining there and snowing here. Um, what is it? Let's just get right into it. What is it that you do?
So I am a Christian. I'm a apprentice lineman. Just turned 21 years old, and I'm currently 7 weeks out from a bodybuilding show. My first prep and my first classic physique show. So that's kind of my life and where I'm at, and it's a lot. It is a
Yeah.
lot. It is really um balanced by any means, but I'm here for the work. So
Hey, that's kind of, you don't want to compare to other people, but you almost wonder how much farther ahead you are than other people. I remember back being 21. I mean, I'm not that much older than you, but this is probably about five or 6 years ago, and I don't feel like anybody has it figured out at that point. So
I definitely don't. Let me just tell
yeah. So what?
you.
We'll talk about what made you decide to bodybuild and also become a lineman. But let's start with the lineman. What made you get on that journey, and how's that been going?
So after I graduated high school, I feel like most people don't know what the hell they're gonna do, and I was actually going to a college at home to be a mechanical engineer, but I got the I got accepted and everything, but I didn't have a scholarship, and I was like, I really sat down, thought about it, and said, not fixing to start my life off with a huge amount of debt. I've known hard work, my whole life, and I'm better at just building stuff with my hands, and I like to do that better anyway. So I started. I just had to get a job. Me and my ex girlfriend had moved into a small trailer behind my parents' house right after we graduated, and she was in college, didn't have a job, and I was at the time jobless. So I was freaking out. How am I going to provide? So one of my friends came to me with a job cutting grass at a um, military base, and that I just did that till I could really figure out what I wanted to do. It's just a job, way to provide. I didn't really like it at all, but I had to figure out a way to make money to pay bills. So I did that for a couple months, and then my dad, he is a jack of all trades. He owns his own, um, I guess he owns his own business, but he does a little bit of everything. And he asked me to come work for him for a little while, and I did. And then I remember that one of my older friends has a brother who's a lineman, and I've looked up to him, and I always looked at him as a badass because one, I know that he made very good money, and two, I used to see him as like heroes. Whenever the power would come out, there'd be big storms come, and I always looked up to them in that way. And I remember saying to myself a while back that if college doesn't work out, I think that's where I want to go. Seeing like cool videos on TikTok and stuff. But
Okay.
so I decided to do more research, talk to him, and look up on the internet, what's the best way to get in. And luckily, at the same time, one of my friend's dads knew somebody who was in underground in the union, and they was looking for another groundman. So that I knew that I wanted to do overhead, but if I had to start an underground to get my foot in the door, I was going to do it. So that's how I got in. Ended up signing the books as a groundman, working in Pensacola, Florida, doing underground. And I didn't have my CDL at the time, but um, I just I fell in love with it really, and I knew that there was more to the trade I wasn't really doing what I wanted to, but I had to get my CDL, and then I could apply for the apprenticeship, and then wait a couple months and get in. So
That's interesting. Why do you need the CDL at that point?
so you have to have the CDL to apply. That's what the apprenticeship requires um, to get in. You have to have a lot of stuff. I'm in the my apprenticeship is called SELCAT, Southeastern Line Constructors Apprenticeship and Training, and it is rough, but it's worth it. I mean, it's great, but I guess what you would say the perfect candidate for it because I have nothing keeping me at home anymore.
Yeah.
My ex ended up cheating on me while I was out of town working, and we might get into that later. But no kids, and I was able to travel. SELCAT, you pretty much have to be able to be willing to travel, and you have to do a lot of online work, but it's paid on the job training. It's not like because there's people who, mostly non-union guys, will pay $20,000 to go to a lineman college, which if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But why not get paid to learn it on the job?
Yeah.
And you can be getting paid, getting experience, getting the hours instead of going to a school, in which they do teach you a lot of stuff there, but you can learn it while
yeah,
and
that's kind of what I always am coming back to right now. You know, since I started this podcast, I've kind of been putting a lot of thoughts together that I've had for a long time, but I was also going to school for electrical engineering. So I just got to a point where I was noticing you go to school forever, and in those careers you really don't get out making very much money in the first place.
yep,
Whereas a lot of other careers, like in trades, you can get trained on the job and get paid while you're being trained, and then make better money over, the course of time. And it's always been interesting to me because they're so looked down on. I mean, it's
yeah,
it's not like a in your face like trade work is bad, but it's a subconscious feeling from everybody pushing college that over time, like if you don't go to college, you're somehow lesser than. And it's a something that gets in the back of people's mind, and then people think that they're better than you because they went to college and they have a degree. So it's weird.
exactly. Exactly. It is very weird how that works. But college is not for everybody, and I am a prime example of somebody who college was not for.
Yeah.
So
It's I liked college and I liked the learning, but I didn't think I would like the job. But I also didn't really see a reason to continue going because I got quite a ways through. And I mean, I wasn't opposed to the schooling, but I was opposed to kind of the benefits afterwards. Like seeing how much money you make out of college of 4 years of paying to go to school, or 5 years, or however much you go. Like you can make that in a trade, and I don't even know if I would like the job. So it's interesting that
yeah,
people commit to going to college, spend all the money to do something that they may not even like. So
yeah, yeah. And if you got scholarships, don't waste them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But if you know, I hated schoolwork, but it's so much better doing schoolwork on stuff that I enjoy, like the apprenticeship stuff. I like learning about power lines, so it makes it better.
yeah. So how far are you into it then?
I am. I joined the IBW when I was 18, so I've been in the apprenticeship for a little over a year now, and it's like a 3-4 year apprenticeship.
Hmm.
You got to have to top out. You got to have. Um, I I know you have to have 2,000 hot hours, but you have to hit a certain step. There's 7 steps. Um, Obviously, you start as a groundman, get an apprenticeship, start as a first step apprentice. Then you have to work a certain amount of hours, hit second step, And then while I was a second step apprentice, I got sent to Cellcat's um, fundamental training. It's like a school you got to go to for 2 weeks. They teach you how to climb, and you learn about transformers, in person, stuff like that. And they're adding a lot more stuff there, and it's cool. It's almost like boot camp in a way, but it's something that I really enjoyed, but I don't want to do again.
Yeah.
But and
So
then what's that?
yeah. Well, so since you've been in it a year, then I mean, we'll continue talking about what you need to do to become a lineman. But is there anything that you wish you knew beforehand, before getting into it, or maybe something that would have made it easier? I know you said you kind of got your foot in the door from a family friend, or
Yeah.
one of your dad's friends.
So if I were to, I guess, tell myself, um, or things that I wish I knew getting into it, would be, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Um, you'll be making pretty dang good money, but you have got to learn how to save. If you're not responsible with, $1,000, you're not going to be responsible with $10,000. Just because you have more money doesn't mean you have, the ability to control it. So, um, definitely, I would push that on myself to be better about saving money for the future, and um, that it's going to be hard. It's not just going to be, oh, I can, take it easy like I have been doing pretty much everything my whole life and just kind of get away with it. No, it's going to be challenging. There's going to be many days where you don't want to wake up at 3:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
and it's about, how bad do you really want it, and challenge yourself. Um, it try to be the best Brownman that you can be. Try to be the best apprentice that you can be, and I wish that, like, going into it, I've been very lucky to have great people I've worked around, great people to learn off of, but it's not always going to be that way. I've been around people um who aren't really people that you should look up to, and there's very many linemen that, like, there's all linemen get bad reps because there's so many people who are drug addicts, who are basically POSs, and
Yeah.
you're going to be around it, but you don't have to be like those guys to be a good lineman.
Mhm.
And
Well, that's like a whole trade issue, I think, is there's and I almost wonder if it's the stigma that's pushing people to be like that, because there's a stigma of blue collar guys being alcoholics and drug addicts and stuff, and it almost pushes people to do it. And maybe because they're around it, maybe because of the stigma, or maybe that's all they could do, because it's pretty easy to get into a lot of trade jobs, but they're hard, so not a lot of people want to do them.
yeah,
It's interesting, but there's a lot of people with a lot of issues like that, and it just takes one person of saying no, I'm not going to be like that, to create a ripple effect among their peers and stuff. So
exactly. And I feel like that's my purpose, really, is to be I feel like my purpose is to do God's will for me. And I really believe He has put it on my heart to be the leader that people coming in who may be older than me, that they can look up to, because there's nobody. I've had really nobody to look up to. And so I'm just going to go off of what the book tells me to,
yeah.
because what kind of man do I want to be? Do I want to be the man who, when things get hard, just turns to alcohol or drugs? Or do I want to be the man who fully relies on God and can be a leader? Because I don't want my kids in the future, if God bless me with kids, I want them to look up to me like I am Superman. I don't want them to see somebody who, when it gets hard, it's okay to drink. When it gets hard, it's okay to act a fool. But that's not where we should. That's not the way to fill a void that only God can fill.
Yep.
All it is a band-aid over something that only God can fix.
That's a conclusion that a lot of people don't come to, especially not when they're 21, you know?
Yeah.
So it's I've been battling with this trade blue collar thing for a while because a lot of people don't find purpose in it. You can, I think the purpose is something that with enough contemplation that you can come to create for yourself. And in turn, something like this can become your dream job, let's say. Because a lot of people think that their dream job is just like they just have this thing that if they had it, then they would be happy.
Exactly.
Which is weird because it's propagated and pushed by school. Like, you know, you can go to college and somehow find your dream job. But that comes with having values and a purpose and finding something that aligns with that, or making it align, you know? So it's interesting because it's not something that a lot of people in the trades talk about, but it's something that I think that needs to happen in order to bring more people in and also change the culture, because there's a terrible culture of that type of stuff in trade work.
Yeah, and I get made fun of literally just about every single day. And when I was working in South Florida, I got made fun of every single day because I don't want to go around. I just don't want to get pissed drunk on a weeknight when I got to wake up early as hell in the morning, and I don't want to be a man whore. I hold myself to Christian standards, and I got made fun of that every single day. And if I were to be able to tell myself, it'd be get ready because it's going to get intense.
Yeah.
But when you have high standards for yourself, it's going to be stressful. And I got very high standards for myself, and I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to fit in. Never really been somebody who just fits in. And but I get made fun of every single day because I don't want to do the same things they do. But they make fun of me. The guys who, and I'm not calling anybody out, but the guys who drink every single day of the year after work, that are spending thousands of dollars at strip clubs and stuff like that, they make fun of me because I go to the gym every day and am trying to do myself, and I want more for myself because I know there is more to me than what I'm seeing, and I get made fun of for it, but that is okay. And in the Bible it says, when the world hates you, just think about how they hated Jesus first. So I try to think about that whenever I'm getting shit on, but it's hard. It's very hard. I've had many days in empty, lonely hotel rooms where I just question what I'm doing, because all I'm doing is getting shit, and I'm trying to do my very best. I want to be the first person there. I want to be the first one out of the truck. I want to be a leader, and it's very hard, and it's going to take, putting up with a lot of that crap, but that's where God is leading me. So who am I to and there's been many people um who have like talked to me like, hey man, the content and stuff that you're putting on the internet is really helping me, and I really need to hear some of that stuff. And so who am I to stop doing what I'm doing just because somebody who doesn't even who can't control their own who can't control themselves, who am I to stop what I'm doing just because they don't like what I'm doing?
Yeah.
When calling is to help those people out.
Yeah. Well, the heckling and the shit talking comes from below, comes from people that are at a lower level because they don't like the fact that you're trying to be better. And it's interesting. And thinking about that makes me think back to any time I've ever, teased people or shit talked, making sure that like am I being like that? Am I um, bringing someone down because they're trying to better themselves, however it looks for them? So it's something that a lot of humans do, and it's just something that you really have to deal with. But you find it everywhere. It's not even just trade work.
Yeah. You just gotta go in one ear and out the other, because you're gonna get so much of it, and
Yeah.
it's something that you kind of have to develop. It did used to bother me at first, but now it's like, I don't really care. If you don't like it, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm
there's
what I'm.
um there's some, I don't remember who says it. There's a few different people who have some quotes along these lines, but it's like, bring the haters. I'd rather be known than liked. Um,
Yeah,
it's like, as far as on Instagram and YouTube and all and TikTok and all that, if you have people hating in your comments, most likely you're gonna end up being known, because
yeah,
all that does is feed the algorithm. But it's almost a reflection of your life, because if you're not ever doing anything that goes against the grain, nobody's ever going to remember, um, and nobody's going to care, because you're just kind of falling in line, you know
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing something right, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know,
so
man.
so what's how'd you get into the bodybuilding?
So I've actually been a fan of bodybuilding for several years now. Um, and I actually have done one show. It was back in I just turned 17, I believe, 16. I just turned I was either 16 or 17. And I did a men's physique show because my buddy was doing one. He got me in the gym, um and I learned that I fell in love with putting in work and seeing results. And that came with, like, I wasn't even able to drive whenever I started going to a gym. I used to have to talk a buddy into taking me to the gym that way I could work out. But um my buddy definitely got me into it. And so he did a show, and I've been a fan of bodybuilding for a little while at this point. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna see what I can do. But I didn't really know much about it. I wanted to do it to learn about it, but I wasn't really ready. Uh, and then I did the show, and then I've been on and off bodybuilding ever since then. But after um the big breakup, um, I really had just sat down and looked at myself and said, there has got to be more to me than what I'm seeing. There has got to be more, and I know there is more. So that's when I really decided to step it up another level. And like, I started and trying to go to work your ass off all day, and then go to the gym after. It's very difficult. But if I was able to apply myself to something for just a little while, and then I'd start seeing more results. And I just fell in love with the process. And then I was working in South Florida, where, you know who Chris Bumstead is, C Bum. So I started going to that gym, and I was loving training. I was um I was literally PRing like every single time I went to the gym. I just had fell in love with it. I was dedicated, and I've always been a very skinny guy who eats a lot. Never been able to gain weight, but I'd known that I wanted to compete. I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder, and I had high goals for myself. And I have very high and outrageous, like, if I were to tell somebody my goals, like, they would be like, "Are you sure? Like, that's up there." Like, I don't know. You know, like, setting goals. Like, I want to compete at the Olympia. I want to be an IFBB pro. I want to be a lineman bodybuilder. There already is one, but I want to be like the best version of myself I can be. And I found that in the gym. And so I met this guy there. His name's Tavish. He's my bodybuilding coach now. And I had joked around about, um, going through a prep and everything, but I sat down and thought about it one day, and um, knew that I loved the grind. I'm never really been one who likes to party and stuff. So I fell in love with the gym. I want to compete. So, and I want to challenge myself. So I sat down and I started looking up shows that would be in 2024, that I could go through an off season and then go through a prep. And me and Tavish talked about it one day, and it just kind of lined up. And so I'm doing a Classic Physique show January 20th in Tallahassee, Florida. And the reason why I wanted to do it was to prove to myself, not to anybody else, but prove to myself that there is more to me, and that if I just dedicate myself to something for just a little while, then the results will speak for themselves. But people like to put limitations on what you can do.
Yep.
Like, they think that just going to work is enough.
Yep. Well, it's the whole idea right now. There's a whole bunch of people that get around this idea of, I'm blue collar, I don't need a gym type of shit, because it is manual labor and it is hard. But speaking from experience, I know when you start working out, it sucks for like a week or two, but your body gets used to it and then it's fine. And really, you end up with more energy, you end up feeling better, you end up looking better. There's a whole bunch of benefits that you don't get from working. And people think their job is hard and is as good as the gym, but there isn't progressive overload on your job. There isn't like any way to markedly make it harder every single time in regards to making your body grow in response to that. Like, there's a bunch of benefits to working out, and it's one of the main things I push because I love it. I couldn't even imagine what I'd be like right now if I didn't. So it's crazy.
And we put limitations on what we can do, but if you're not contributing to your goal, I don't care what you do. I don't really care where you work, but if you have got to have goals, and if you're not coming home after working, however long you work, and doing something to contribute to those goals, I really don't think you're going to get anywhere.
Yep.
And a lot of people make excuses. And I can't tell you that I haven't, but you've got to be able to learn how to control or just shut your emotions off. As men, there's many times where we have so many feelings and feelings. There's also a big stigma that blue collar guys or just men in general cannot have feelings. Yes, and that's wrong. I'm telling you, you are 100% able to have feelings, and it's healthy to have them. But as men, we cannot let them control us.
Yep.
And you have to be able to almost shut your emotions off. When I say I don't feel like going to the gym, I don't feel like doing my cardio, I don't feel like eating 800 times a day, but I have to shut those emotions off because one, that this is my purpose. This is able to help other people, not just me. And so why am I going to let those emotions control me? And it's just being able to shut it off, man.
Yeah. Well,
it's not easy.
It goes back to your purpose. A lot of people don't have one. And school, high school, college, whatever, it does not contribute very well to letting people have a purpose or even teaching people how to find one. I remember I heard Jordan Peterson talk about his students. He would have them at the beginning of the semester write down goals for their life and really for how they want their semester to be, but like what they want to be able to do in their life. They basically constructing a purpose, and nobody had done it. Like almost every semester, nobody's done it. And that one simple step for his college students pretty much, I think, changes the amount of people that pass that class and do something else. I can't remember what it was, by like 50%. So it goes across the board of, if you have a purpose, it's easier to shut off those emotions and those thoughts in your head. But if you don't, it's like almost impossible to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I've really been trying to do this prep is I want to feel those emotions. I want to be present, and because I want to know how hard it is. And through the good and through the bad, I want to feel every emotion. But if days where I work my ass off and I don't want to go to the gym because it's bad every day, but if I can shut those off, shut the excuses in the back of my mind, and just go do it, most of the time I'm glad that I did, and I don't ever regret, you know, after. Yes, I'm tired, but I'm I'm able to sleep at night knowing that I did something and contributed to my future.
Well, you're able to sleep at night also knowing you kept your commitment to yourself, you know. The A lot of people can easily lie to themselves in the moment and being like, I don't need to do it today. I did enough. I don't need to work out. I worked hard at work, and easily convince themselves that it doesn't matter. But the more you do that, the more you become out of integrity with yourself,
Yeah,
because, and then if you're out of integrity with yourself, you can't possibly live up to any other commitments that you make.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if I quit, how am I going to be able to like tell my future son how to get through hard things one day if I've quit before?
Yeah.
So, and it's got to stop thinking about yourself, stop being so selfish, because in those moments where I don't want to do something, I think about the people who are depending on me, my family, my future kids, my friends, the guys at work. They're all counting on me to be better, and I have to. So who am I to quit whenever my son is going to look me in the eyes one day when he goes through trials and ask me how to get through it, and I'm not going to have an answer for him?
Or you're gonna have to make something up because you don't have an
Exactly.
answer. So it's yeah, it's really easy to see how so many people can become depressed, and anxious, and just overall sad, I guess,
Yeah.
when they live like this. When
Yeah.
there is no, you go to work and then you go home and then what? You sit on the couch,
Exactly.
don't have any, like, you've talked a lot about your future family and your future kids, and not a lot of people think that way, and they're not thinking about what they want to have in the future. It's like, okay, I gotta go to work, and then go home and sit
Yep.
on the couch, and yeah.
Yeah. I don't think depression is just. I think that depression is very real, but I don't think that it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of times, a lot of men in the trades, they get stuck, and they are bound and chains almost. Like they just go to work, go home and drink, and it's like they're stuck in that cycle, and they're just lost, don't know what to do. They have no freedom, basically. But and I used to be like that, but like stuck and just kind of depressed. But honestly, man, God saved me, and that's he can. I contribute so much of my life because I grew up knowing who Jesus was and called myself a Christian, but I did not know who Christ was. Um, and it wasn't until really like I got baptized back in middle school, and it was real, but I had no change to my life. And it wasn't until after me and my ex broke up to where I just said I can't do it by myself anymore. Um, I've tried, and I continue to fail every single time. So it was not until I was actually born again until I experienced freedom. And that there's so much joy that has came to my life since that moment. It has not been easy, and it doesn't mean that just because I've given my life to Christ, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it means that I'm not alone. Just because I go through the fire, I will rejoice because I know that He is there with me. And I have all that I need, and that's Jesus. If power lines got took away from me, I'd be okay. If bodybuilding, if all this around me got took away from me, I would be okay with it because I have all that I need. And I just experience so much gratitude that comes with that, because if he went to the cross and died for me, I'm going to live for him, and I'm going to tell somebody about it. And I feel like my purpose is become a leader. And I want to, in the future, be able to stand on stage in front of people. I have stage fright. I will not lie, and share the word, or share. Like, I've started getting involved in a little bit of youth um youth like worship and all that. And I'll tell you, it is scary. I'm so out of my comfort zone, but you have got to get out of your comfort zone. That is where your goals will be accomplished, and that is where Jesus is calling us to go to, is outside of our comfort zone. Stop being so comfortable.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but um I'm not going to, complain about the things that God's called me to. So
Yeah. I I grew up very Christian, and I don't know if I'd necessarily say spiritual, but very like aware. And I I'm super grateful for that because it's shaped who I am right now. Um, and it's another one of the things that if I grew up not in, a church, not at least being aware of Christ and the gospel, I don't know how it would have been. I very well, that's a huge contributor of why I never drank alcohol. And I see so many people struggle with all of these things that I was veered away from because I was raised in that. So there's a bunch of benefit to it, and a lot of people are so closed off to that.
yeah,
To yeah.
that's our job, is to, make His name known. And you might be going through it, and there's been many times where, I've just wanted to, like, there was a time where, and nobody really knows this, where I wanted to end my life, because all I was surrounded by is when so whenever my ex cheated on me, I didn't know, and we ended up breaking up. And then a couple weeks after that, um I found out over a phone call, because I was talking to somebody, explain, because we had gotten an argument that night, me and my ex, and then I was explaining to this person about it, and they said, "Well, she slept with another guy, so what's and I didn't know about it. And then she said, "What, you don't know? Everybody knows." And I said, "What?" And literally all my friends that I really thought were my great friends at the time, like, this is a different school friends. I have friends that I've grown up with, and they are amazing. But these friends that I thought I had, kept it from me. And man, it had to happen. That is the best thing that has ever happened to me. The
Yeah.
best thing in my life. And it did nothing but light a fire up under my ass and make me want to be better. I want to be somebody.
Yeah.
And if that's what it takes, if I have to go through that, Lord, I will. And but that I would drive like 6 to 8 hours most weekends because I'd go home. I didn't want to pay for a hotel. And most of the time we were working 410s. So sitting in a lonely hotel room just after that stuff would happen was rough on me.
Yeah.
That, I'd go to the gym. I found a great church. And, man, I'm telling you, I would not be where I'm at if that didn't happen. That is the best thing that's probably ever happened to me is going through that. And I would not be on this podcast. I would not have this Bible in front of me if that didn't happen. So it woke me up. And if you're going through hard times like that, just try to shift your mindset really.
Yeah.
Instead of why me, God, why me? Why not me? What is this? I'm not going to be the same person I am going into the storm. Like, I'm not going to be the same person coming out of the storm as I am going into it. And I create like a lot of the little bit of success that I've had in anything contributes to that night where I looked myself in the mirror. I said, there is more to you than what I'm seeing. There's got to be some point in your life where you look into the mirror and you cannot stand what you are seeing. And that does not have to be based on physical appearance. That can be just based off the type of man you are. But you have got to understand that there is more to you, and the effort that you're putting out now is enough. I don't care how hard I work. I don't care how much effort I put in. There's always going to be a little voice in the back of my head that says, you could have worked a little harder today. You could have done 2 more reps to that set. You could have helped that person who might be depending on, the $3 that you could spend on an energy drink or something at the gas station. That could change their life. You never know. But there is more to you. Why am I putting limits on myself? Why am I limiting God?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Awesome. That's yeah. I resonate with that story pretty well. So I think we're coming up on time, but I think that's a good place to end it for the people listening to the podcast everywhere. So let's we're going to
real quick,
continue this conversation.
While we're here,
Yeah.
if you don't, just pray over this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe a read. So if you don't mind, pray with me.
Yeah, sure.
God, I just want to say thank you for the day that you have made for us today. God, I pray that we don't take the blessings you have given us for granted. Lord God, I pray that you give us eyes to see and ears to hear everything that truly comes to you, Lord. And God, I pray that I just want to say thank you for the doors that you can just continue to open for us, God. And thank you for the doors that you've closed in our benefit, God. And Lord, I just pray that if anybody who's listening to this doesn't know you, God, I pray that they just seek you, because if they seek you, they will find you, Lord. And I pray that you just fill their life with so much joy and give them purpose, Lord. And just let them know that you love them and that you are just waiting for them, and that you can give them freedom. And God, I just want to say thank you. I love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So where can people go to find you? And then we're still going to continue talking in the community, but for now.
Yeah. Where can people go to find me?
Yep.
Me personally, or like my content stuff?
Yeah, find out about your bodybuilding event, anything.
So, I am going to be putting out more content. I plan on starting a YouTube up. I want to have a show day video, but I also want to go through a small prep series, and I'm running out of time, so I got to get on it. But social media, I'm going to be putting out a lot of content soon, and I feel like I'm almost being led to do that. But if you're ever around, Middle Tennessee, and you want to come to church with me, get with me. If you're around Murfreesboro, Tennessee, go to a church called New Vision. Great church. Come sit with me. And yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. We're gonna continue on over there, but guys, this is an awesome guy. Go give him a follow. So
Appreciate it.